3, 2, 1. Joe Velazco, how are we doing?
What up, nephew?
Not much, not much. I know I've been wanting to have you on for a while, so it's been nice to finally get you here.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
Of course, yeah. I mean, look, we've known each other for what? You've known of me before, but I know you now as a coach for about 6 years.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate to have people like you in my life who kind of snap me out of it and say, look, you are good enough, or you are someone who provides value. And it showed multiple times when you invited me to your camp. Early on, it was just to be not an assistant, but someone who worked the camp. And then obviously I'd have my groups and you would come around and say, hey, raise your voice a little bit or have a little bit more confidence in what you're saying. But then as I got older, you were like, hey, I want you to run the second day, or I want you to run the second half of the day, and I want you to put your sessions together. And it was like, okay, now I'm slowly growing, but it was you who gave me that opportunity to grow. So thank you.
Nephew, listen, when I don't want to say the first time I met you, but I've known you since you were a kid. But I feel that what I saw, what you were doing with your content at the beginning, with all your YouTube stuff, I said, dude, you're doing something that no other goalkeeper coach or goalkeeper influencer is doing. No one's doing it but you. So what do they call that? A niche? Dude, grab onto that and grow it, because that's the future. And I told you that, remember? Dude, stay on that track.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I'm an open book, right? So I do not have a problem when there's a coach that I bring in that's hungry, that wants to learn. You've heard many coaches say when they start, you got to be a sponge, right? So I could tell that you wanted to be a sponge because you're always asking questions, and someone who wants to know is going to ask. So I feel, okay, this kid wants to step up his game on the field, not just on the social media part, but on the field. Well, then let's give him a run for his money. Let's put him in. Let's put him in there. And I know there's different types of goalkeeping camp environments. I mean, you went to Camp Shutout. You checked that out. I'm sure you've done other ones. You've done your own. But when I had you come at ours at IGA, it was like I wanted you to feel like, okay, what's it all about? What's he gonna do? And yeah, as I saw you, it's like, hey, dude, raise your voice louder. Hey, believe in yourself, dude. Just if they're young, push them. Yeah. Because that's what they're looking for. Just step up. Don't be afraid. Push them.
That's the thing you do too, is you put me with the younger kids. You say, today I'm putting you with the kids on purpose. I want to see what your energy is like. What I love about you is that, like, you'll call me or text me and, like, it's no BS. Hey, man, I put you with the younger kids today. You failed me. Well, Joe, we'll ask, Joe, what do you mean I failed you? Nah, I mean, the energy wasn't there. You need to treat these young kids with the same passion and the same energy as you do the older kids. So they came to pay. And the fact that you did not give them 100%, I'm really upset about that. And those are the things that, as a young coach, you sit with and you go, yeah, you're right. You can't have selective, I guess, attention to detail when you have younger kids versus older kids. You have to be at your best at every single moment, because those are the repetitions you need.
I look at it like this, nephew. If you want to be successful, and I know you do, and you continue wanting to be successful, you don't want to have yes men around you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense to me to be a yes man. Oh, yeah, it's okay. No, I told you how I felt. I don't want to call it a demotion. You're getting demoted, but I felt like, you know what? If he wants to be an overall goalkeeping coach, not just, okay, I'm good with the more advanced kids. Well, anybody could do it, right? But if you're going to be an overall goalkeeper coach and get better, you have to start from the building blocks.
Yeah.
You have to be out of your comfort zone, because I can tell that you're like, oh, dude. But you don't grow in a comfort zone, right? You have to grow when you're not in your comfort zone, and that wasn't in your comfort zone. Mm-mm. So I felt like, you know what? If I'm going to help him, then I might as well put him there so he can learn. And that was the COVID camp. We did it for like 5 days, and by day 3, you were like, dude, I love this group. You were happy because. Yeah. The first couple of days you struggle. You're like, oh my God, the passes. You were frustrated. And that happens to every coach. But then it's like it grows on you. And I saw you were like all happy. You're like, oh, dude, this is cool.
Yeah. You get into those environments in different camps that you go to. And I've always been able to reflect on the time that you kind of threw me into the fire. Mm-hmm. And I think it stuck with me. So thank you for that. But now those are some things that you do for your coaches. And I know you do that exact same thing for your, like, it's that not love hate, but it's like sometimes you play good cop, bad cop, and sometimes you gotta, play a little Sour Patch Kid. So how would the goalkeepers that you've worked with and goalkeeper coaches who have experienced you as well, how would they describe you?
Okay, I would say from the goalkeepers that I've worked with, they would say I'm an intense, demanding, energetic, jolly person all into one. Intense because I, by nature, maybe, or by culture, me being Hispanic, Guatemalan, Mexican, I think that just comes natural, intense wise. Demanding is because I demand physical, but more importantly, mental toughness. You know, this is why I wear the GK for life, is because I wanted them to understand that being a goalkeeper, you have the pressure on your shoulders, whether it's a good goal or a mistake, you still carry that pressure throughout. And my classic example to the kids, like, look, when you go to tryouts, how many goalkeepers show up? 2, 3, and how many field players show up? Like 50. So it's not meant for everybody. It's kind of like the Marines, the few and the proud. But it's like, I tell them, you take this goalkeeping experience, and when you transition it to real life once you get older, those pressures that you had as a keeper are less. Now, as a coach, I would say for some coaches, and they've told me this, they're like, you're crazy. Like, I don't know how you're still doing this, because where I'm from, parents would sue me or whatever. And I just want coaches. My number one thing is I tell every coach, and I told you this too, it's not about you. It's about the kid. I tell every coach that emails me, calls me, hey, can I go shadow you at your sessions? And they give me, what advice would you give me? Dude, it's not about you, because that player is trusting you to help them get better. That parent is investing their hard-earned money in you to train their child. And so I take that as like, you know what? You're held with a responsibility. So make sure it's not about the bag. It's about the kid first.
Yeah, I think that's the big one that a lot of us have to fight with a little bit. At the beginning, it's you're doing this to make money.
Yeah.
And I think as you start to transition from I'm just trying to put money in my account to, okay, I'm actually taking this seriously, that flip of the switch comes from it's not about me, it's about them. Working the camp and working the young goalkeepers, that was a reminder to me of it's not about striking balls. It's a lot about the social side, how you communicate with the goalkeepers. Sometimes, too, you have to test out your voice. And I feel like sometimes that intensity, you're not born with it. You sometimes, like you said, from your culture, but sometimes when you coach enough times, you start to realize, okay, they're developing bad habits. Why are they developing bad habits? Because I haven't stopped the session enough. I don't maybe trust what I'm saying. And I think once you get into the age where you start trusting a little bit more in the experience, then you're willing to say, you know what, you're doing it wrong. I'm going to tell you why. Then you add a little bit of adversity to the sessions.
Right.
It's not just by striking balls, but how you communicate with them. And I think that intensity, growing up and looking back at my coaches that made the most difference for me, I look back and say, yeah, there was a little bit of love-hate there, but more love, and now I can see it from that side.
Yeah, you know what, though? But the way I do it, I compare myself from when I started to where I'm at now. And when I started, I was like joysticking everything, all the kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, instead of them figuring it out, I was like, no, it's got to be like this. And as years went by, from where I started to where I'm at now, as the years went by, I started like, you know what? I can't be doing all the service. They need to learn how to hit the ball because they have to use their feet anyway. You know, and you remember when I told you, nephew, you got to let your keeper serve too. You're like, no, I want the service. Remember?
Yeah.
But I said, okay, he'll grow out of it.
But that's about me because it's because I wanted to showcase that I was this protege of I'm creating this content. I have this, big fan base online, so that when people come to see me, it was such an ego thing, honestly. But it was like I want them to know that I can strike the ball, half volley, full volley, dips. I want to be the one who people see and go, wow, okay, he's really about that life. Yeah. So again, it's about them, not me. But for a long time, it was about me.
Yeah, but the thing is, you learned as you went by. I'll remember that camp with Donovan. You're like, my quad's about to fall. You're like, I need to take a week off with my quad. I said, nephew, sometimes you got to let them serve because save your body. And, look, you're young. I'm 47 years old. Being a goalkeeper coach, you pay a price physically, right? Because you tore your ACL playing. But now that you're coaching, right, sometimes you're like, oh, my hip. So, dude, I'll be honest with you. Coming here today, dude, I have a pinched nerve in my left hip. But I just tell myself, go another 24 hours, go another 24 hours. And I just push myself mentally because I have kids that depend on me. I don't know, bro. I think I don't like to call my keepers clients. I call them my kids because I look at every goalkeeper as my kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why I don't want to let them down. Right. Yeah. But as a coach, you pay a price physically, mentally. It gets draining sometimes. You've seen the camps that I've done. It's not easy. to organize all that, and you get time away from your family. But this is why I make my you see my family at the field.
Yeah.
Because I want them to be a part of it. You know,
Yeah.
you see my wife out there, you know, bringing the lunch. You see my daughter, you know, doing the check-in. You see my son in the camps, and my other daughter is recording. So I want my family to be all involved all in one. So it's not just Big Joe. It's Big Joe and his family. It's a family thing. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. But before you got into like the coaching and doing all that, I want to look into the early years of Joe. What were the early years like? And give me some context to how you became, I guess, who you are.
How early are we talking about?
I mean, just give me the early days, like, you know, watching soccer as a kid, or what was your...
So my father, rest in peace, is from Mexico, and my mother, rest in peace, was Guatemalan. So as you know, being in a Hispanic household, it's all about football, right? So I grew up more on my mom's side. And my Guatemalan side of the family, ardent soccer fans, bro. I remember my first World Cup experience as a kid with my family was in '86 in Mexico. And I'm talking about a family of about, no joke, about 25 cousins, bro. Uncles. And we would all meet at one of my aunt's houses, and there'd be 20 of us sitting in the living room floor, and we're all, dude, we're watching Tunisia versus Mexico, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But every game was intense. Till this day, you know, after the first game was over, it'd be like 2 hours before the second game would start. So in those 2 hours, across the street from my aunt's house, there was a park, and we would all go to the park, play like 10-a-side on a small, maybe 20 by 20 grass spot at the park. It was just a little grass spot, and we'd play. And then we'd play a game called Paritos, which is, it's like a penalty kick game. So it's 2v2. And that's where I started getting inspired to be a goalie, because my older brother, Hugo, it wasn't a pro goalie. It wasn't Rene Guita. It wasn't Jorge. No, it was my brother, dude. And he was good, bro. I said, bro, you were a caveman back in the day. You had no training, but you just made saves, right? So that's where I started my passion. As I got older, for reasons that, let's just say it like this. I fell into some bad times as a teenager, mixed in with the wrong crowd. So my mother, bless her heart, she's like, well, I ain't going to see you fail or end up in jail or dead. So I'm just going to send you to Guatemala. And I was like, dude, she's going to send me for a couple months and I'll be back. She wants to teach me a lesson. So she just had happened to send me to Guatemala around November, December. And, you know, in Mexico and Guatemala or any Hispanic country in December, it's like a party month because they celebrate Christmas. They have dances. Dude, it's like, okay, cool. So I was happy, right? Well, January came around. All the parties were over. And I called her, dude. I had to take a bus an hour away from the town to get on the phone to call her. Hey, when am I going back? She's like, you ain't coming back? I told you, you're there to stay. I was like, no, you're serious? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So now I have to adjust myself, and life lessons, bro. I got sent to Guatemala, and in school, I was the tallest guy. So like, you're the goalie. I'm like, okay. So honestly, dude, at the beginning, I would just try to remember what my brother would do. And then I'd watch it on TV in Guatemala. And so I would mimic what I would see on TV and try to put it together. Dude, you know, in Latin countries, they have these little plastic balls to play with, like you see in the grocery stores, dude. I'd get one of those, and I'd find somewhere in the mountain, there'd be a flat plane or piece of grass, and I just put the ball there and dive on, just do my own stuff, kind of like the COVID workouts.
Solo training.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty much what I would do, bro. And honestly, dude, I would watch so much soccer on TV and then just try to mimic it on the field. Then after 2 years, a year and a half, my mom, she was like, hey, I'm going to bring you back. Don't fall back what you went into. So I came back, finished high school, and I got a part-time job while I was finishing high school because I wanted to have my own money. So back then, I don't know if you remember, but there was a big old fat phone book called the Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I was working part-time, dude, $4.25 an hour, bro.
Wow.
Right.
Times have changed.
Yeah, dude. And I'd look in the phone book, dude, like soccer coach, like, cause I said, okay, I got a little money. I'm going to see if I can find someone to actually train me. Right. Cause I wanted it. I was in love with it. So I found a coach named Marine Cano who's still coaching at Dominguez, right? Back then he had his little soccer thing, Mr. Soccer Says, and he had his number, Marine Cano Soccer Schools. So I called, he picked up, and I said, hey, do you do goalie training? Yeah, I was a goalkeeper, blah, blah, blah. So he told me I charge this much an hour, and I was like, dude, that's a lot. You know, we're talking back in 1994. We did our first session. Oh my God. He was all about technique. I did maybe like 4 sessions with him. And then he couldn't do it no more because he was committed going to Irvine but those 4 sessions I'll never forget. Like by the session 3 and 4, then he started going into the diving stuff. So then growing up, I'd never played club soccer like there is now, not even flight 3, bro. Like there was, first, we couldn't afford it. Second, at the age that I was 17, 18, it's like, dude, I'm just going to play men's league. And then when I graduated high school, I went to El Camino College, but there was far better goalies. And all those guys played club soccer. So I was like, dude, these guys are too good, bro. Like, man, hell no, I'm not going to. It's like, all right, whatever. So let's just say I was invited to walk on, let's say at a junior college, but I was just going to be a practice goalie. So I was like, dude, all right, whatever. I was going to school anyway, might as well. There was no goalie coach there, but just training with the other keepers, I learned from them. Right. So then I just played Sunday league. And I think I was 23 years old when I just sustained so many injuries to my hip and low back from playing men's league, just because, it's bad terrain and no training and none of this cool down and stretching, or nowadays you go to cryotherapy. There wasn't nothing like that back then, bro. You
dealt with it.
You took 2 Tylenol if it hurt, and that's it. Or you mentally pushed through, right? So then I got to a point where I was so injured, like I couldn't play anymore. I screwed up my back so bad. I was out for like a few months, and I fell into a depression. And I gained a lot of weight. And a buddy came to visit me, bro. I was young, and he goes, hey, the hell happened to you? Like, did you eat an elephant or what? I said, no, I'm recovering. He's like, why are you drinking? And I told him, right? And this is what kickstarted me, bro. He goes, so that's your excuse to let yourself go because you're recovering from an injury because you can't play or train? Well, how about this? Why don't you pass on your passion to a kid? And I was like, what do you mean, bro? He's like, pass on your passion to a kid. He's like, I know you're passionate. Like, why don't you coach? Like, coach? Like, yeah, coach. It's like, from talking to you, you love the game. I know you love training and all that, but get in there, go coach a kid. If you can't play no more, because I was like, dude, I don't want to play if this injury is going to keep nagging me. I was like, okay, I'll see what that turns out. And dude, it so happens that I had a nephew and a cousin that wanted to be goalies. So they were my guinea pigs, bro. So we'd go to the park and we just train. I didn't know what I was doing. I ain't gonna lie.
We took those 4 lessons though that you paid for.
Yeah, but how can I say this? Like, you can, but then no YouTube.
Yeah.
No, none of what we have now. So it was all through books, bro. And back then there was a soccer magazine, that would sell soccer videos called Reed Swing. You had like the Tony DeChico method, the Franz Hook method. It was VHS, bro. So I saved up some chips and I bought those, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna do this drill. And that's where I started being more creative. I can do this drill, but add this to this. And my 2 guinea pigs, dude, they were getting better, free training. And I took it as on the job training. So that's Joe Velazco from a kid through teenager, through young adult. That's Joe Velazco in a nutshell.
Did you ever draw the line to your mom and how she took an interest and cared for your well-being and how you now do that for kids? Is that maybe where it came from?
Bro, honestly, and if I choke up, forgive me, but my mom passed last year, and a day or 2 before she passed, I told her, I thanked her for everything she did for me, right? Because I took care of her. My mom died of pancreatic cancer, and that thing ate her up quick, bro. It was just, we had a lot of alone time. And I just think when you feel that your loved one's going to pass, you can just tell.
Yeah.
Because she was on hospice, bro. I learned that when someone's in hospice, it's like, yeah, it's a matter of time. So I said, you know what? I have to thank her. Because I never really thanked her full-heartedly. So we were talking. She was in her bed, and I was like, hey. I said, I want to thank you. I grabbed her. I want to thank you for everything you did for me. But most importantly, the best lesson you taught me was sending me to Guatemala. Because what I didn't tell you earlier was when she sent me to Guatemala, it wasn't just for my safety and well-being, but it was to see. I don't know if you want to call it a village or a small town. Dude, I had classmates, bro, classmates that would go to school with no shoes straight from the farm. They would work in the morning and they would show up with no shoes. And I was like, dude, like I got Vans, I got Nikes, and these kids have, I'm telling you, bro, it was crazy to see that. And most of the indigenous people that went to the same school I went to, they would have to work in the morning and then come to school. And then they'd have to go back home, do their homework, and do the same thing over and over, where I'm like, compared to them, I was a privileged kid. So that lesson taught me to be grateful. And that's what I told her. I'm thankful for you for teaching me to be grateful for whatever little that you gave me. Because, when you're a teenager, sometimes you rebel. Oh, I want these. No, can't afford this. So you rebel. But then when I went over there, I was like, dude, whoa, it opened my eyes. So that helped me. Right. And that kind of also mixed in with what my friend told me, like, how Mizzy, when you talk to him, he gives you that Pirlo look, like, are you serious? Like, are you done?
Yeah.
He was like that, bro. Like that. So my mom saving me and him being real with me. Cause like I told you, you don't want to have yes men in your life, bro. Yeah. I'd rather have someone like that around me. And that's like, for example, what Mizzy is to me. He'll tell me, like, you're screwing up. You're messing up. You always need to have someone like that. So I think the combination of the two, Omar, was that really helped me find the direction on how I coach.
Yeah. I mean, even talking about you're looking at the yellow pages to seek information.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at like the Franz Hoek and Tony DeChico. And I think those two for me are the ones that, speaking to coaches who try to grow their knowledge back in the day, those were the two main sources that people would go after. But even now, I mean, the fact that you bring in Phil Wheddon, who's everyone knows him, I've had him so many times, and as well from the camps that you've had him at, you're seeking information from people, and not just seeking information, you're actually going above and beyond to bring them out here so that you can have the coaches and players, the players that you work with, get another voice.
Coaches as well,
but I think it's a unique experience. So I think that was the big one for me, where watching you bring in Phil, watching you bring in Donovan from Atlas, seeing that you were like, dude, look, at the end of the day, I love my kids enough that I want them to get better, and it's not just me. It doesn't have to be my voice.
Yeah.
And I think that was where something clicked again. At a young age, you think, it has to be your only voice. You have to serve every ball because you want everyone to see that you're this amazing coach with potential. But then I saw you bringing other people with different knowledge of the position, and now hearing a little bit of your backstory, it's been in you since the beginning. So you've never had an ego, or where was the ego and all that?
Dude, that's a good question, bro. I don't know how to answer that because, like, again, it goes down to the core values for me. It's about the kid first. But I've had people tell me that I sound egotistical sometimes, or you put up so much stuff. You say it's about the kid, but you're promoting yourself. No, I'm promoting IGA. I'm showing the kids that I coach. But then other people tell me, no, bro, you're just you. You're not egotistical. That's how you're built. So I don't know how to answer that question, bro. To be honest with you, I don't know if it's ego. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I think my haters will say I'm egotistical. And I think that people who love me and are loyal to training with me, I think they'll say, no, he's not egotistical. He's totally opposite. So let's just say I'm 50-50. I'll leave it at that, bro.
I think it's a double-edged sword because to get your confidence where you need it to be, where you feel comfortable in every setting, and I think that's the evolution as a person and as a coach in life, you almost have to think that your shit doesn't stink, that you are the voice, the end-all be-all, because if any little sliver of doubt comes into your mind about your voice, you're not going to have the confidence to say it, and you won't have the confidence to explore. And I think when you have that confidence, you start to just like say things, and people bring you back to earth, put the train back on the train back on the track. But there's some times where you kind of go a little too far, and you try to showcase that confidence a little too much, and then you're kind of like, oh damn, maybe it's being misperceived. Versus in your own head, I'm just exploring my voice a little bit more. I'm exploring my confidence. So maybe people are misunderstanding that side of it.
Yeah, okay. Maybe people are looking at my confidence, at least the insecure ones, look at my confidence and to them it's a threat. Maybe. But see, there's another side to this, and you know this. The goalkeeping coaching world is both cutthroat and love. You know what I mean?
It is.
Because I would look at it like this. The ones who are cutthroat, they look at any little mistake you make. Oh, you see, that's why his method isn't good. But again, I'm going to quote Phil again. Phil said, he goes, there is no set way to train a goalkeeper. You can approach it in any direction. And he's absolutely right, because it's cultural. You know, how many goalkeeper coaches have you seen around the world? It's all different, dude.
Yeah.
So it's right what he says, but it's cutthroat because there's coaches that are just it's all about them, and they want to keep their keepers only with them. And when I started, nephew, I'll admit, I was kind of like that too, because I was insecure, bro, because I'm starting out. Dude, my first gig, I got recruited to coach club based off this woman that I owe everything to, Shelly Martin. She saw me training my nephew and my cousin at a park, bro. And she said, hey, do you coach goalkeepers like anywhere else? I'm like, no. And I was like, why is she asking me? She's like, oh, well, look, we have a goalkeeper coach, but he's out of the country for a month, and I need someone to come coach once a week, and I can pay you. And dude, I was like, no, because I was so insecure.
Yep.
Now, being with my cousin and my nephew is one thing, because they ain't paying me and I'm learning, right?
Totally.
But now when someone approaches you and there's like, hey, well, I can pay you, you're like, dude, if I receive money and I do a bad job, because for me, it's all about, I want to make sure I do a good job. Okay. Because again, it comes down to my foundation of my parents. Like, you need to have, when parents pay their hard-earned money, like, you don't want to let them down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my parents, as hard as they worked, you know, when they bought something, whether it be a pair of shoes or whatever, let's say they cherished it, because it took them a lot to make money to get that object, you know? So now I just imagine all the parents are like that. So I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. Right. But she's like, no, I've seen you out here. I don't know how many times she saw me. She's like, I think you do a good job. So I said, fine. I took it. And dude, she gave me a group of like 10-year-old girls, bro. Now I'm like second guessing myself. I can't make these girls dive over ropes, bro. I can't yell. I can't cuss them out like I do my cousin and nephew. It kind of like you when I said you got the youngers, like, dude, like, the quality's gonna be, but that was my getting out of my comfort zone now.
Yeah.
So I took it, and dude, I had like maybe 4 notebooks, bro. I was just writing stuff. Dude, for an hour session, I wrote down like maybe on 4 sheets of paper what it would have been like a 4-hour session. I wanted to cram in one. That's where I bought my first rebounder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's why at IGA, the rebounder is the most fundamental tool for youth development goalkeepers, because what do you want? You want muscle memory. You want to teach your kids how to catch. Well, what better way rebounder? It's always there, right? So I learned that from Franz Hoek. And I just went with it, bro. And after a month, that goalie coach never came back. And I said, hey, thanks for the opportunity. She was trying to pay. I was like, no, I don't want the money. It's like, no, this was a good experience for me. Take the money. She's like, forced it on me. So I took the money. Didn't open the envelope. She's like, do you have a number? I'm like, at that time, I didn't have a cell phone. We're talking about 2000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Yeah, nothing now.
Mobile phones not like now, right? Let alone smartphones, right? So, and I gave her my home number. Dude, a week later, she's like, hey, well, he never came back, that coach. You want to take this job full time? I was like, I felt like I was being interviewed by Nike, if that makes sense. It's like, what?
Your first big break.
Yeah, bro. But I was like, nah, I don't. Now, because it's more goalies now. So I was like, if this is what you want to do, what your friend told you, pass on the passion, well, then you might as well go with it. So then I got a high school job, just being a goalkeeper coach. I went in as a volunteer, again, because I was insecure of myself. And they needed a frost-off coach. I was like, I'm not here for the frost-off position. I'm here. You need a voluntary goalie coach for varsity, JV, and frost-off. Goalie coach only? Yeah, that's all I want to do. But I don't even want to charge you. I'll do it for free. I'll come 5 days a week. Because for me, it was about paying my dues. But more importantly, the more I practiced it, the better I was going to be at it. You know? I wanted to be Franz Hoek. I wanted to be Tony DiCicco. I wanted to be... that they were like my Mount Rushmores at the time. Like, okay, I want to aspire to get to their level, right? And after a few years of coaching club and high school, voluntarily high school and getting paid for club, like there was nothing in the South Bay area where I'm from. Nothing. Actually, I shouldn't say that. The only other coach in the South Bay that was training goalies was Mizzy, but we didn't know each other yet.
Mizzy, by the way, is your partner at IGA, Impact Goalkeeper Academy.
Mizzy and Juan Cervantes. Mizzy is my eternal significant other partner, but we just say that. And Juan, which is one of my students, as of 3 years ago, I added him as a partner as well because he went through the IGA system as a kid, and he started making his bones as a coach when he was still at UCLA, and he'd come coach in the summer or in the winter. He would come coach. So honestly, that's where he started paying his dues, and he loved it. And I'm so proud of what he's doing now, and he's doing a magnificent job at the club where he's at. And you know what? What makes it even better, dude, is that when I told him I want you to be a partner, he thought, I guess, that I was going to give him, okay, this is how you have to train. I said, bro, you already know my method, but you're not me. You're you. So whatever foundation I taught you, convert it into your own style, because I don't coach like Mizzy. Mizzy don't coach like me, and you don't coach like me, and I don't coach like you. But you understand it's about the kid. As long as you understand that and you do it with passion, dude, he took that, man, and dude, the keepers that he's produced already at a young age, it's like, bro, what are you on?
Yeah. He's
like, what do you mean what I'm on? It's like, dude, you got some good keepers here. He goes, it's that IGA mentality, bruh. Yeah. I was like, okay. I said, I have to charge you 10% for that now. Yeah. But honestly, dude, like, you know what I wish I would have done? But I guess the technology wasn't there at the time. I wish I would recorded my sessions because now I do. And dude, it makes a difference. Like, oh, dude, that was ugly. Oh, you know what? I can add this to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because as of maybe 3-5 years ago, I started recording my sessions, not only for the social media part of it, but to look at myself and look at the keepers. And I'll send them clips. Hey, look at your hand shape there. This is what I'm talking about. Because now you see it, yep. Right? But overall, for my sessions, it's like, Now, I'm not at the level where some of these coaches get the GoPro and the tower.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, but I'm still like, dude, that's too much work for me. Yeah. But I'd rather just use my iPhone and go to work.
Yeah, no, it helps. It helps justify your coaching points.
Right.
There's something I wanted to bring up with you on that side of things. Okay, so funny story. I've never told this story before, but two things. One, I was a hater of yours for a little bit. Why? I'll be honest.
Why?
Because it was just my ego. But first, let me tell you what happened. So first, I was getting bigger on social media. And then I remember having like, let's say 20,000 followers on Instagram, and YouTube was growing. And I put up a flyer for a camp. And I remember, for me being naive, but I was like, damn, I'm about to get like 20, 30 goalkeepers. I'm gonna cap this shit at 30, and that's it. And I remember like no one was signing up. And I was just like, what is happening? I thought these numbers should validate at least 20 or 30 goalkeepers. And then nobody signed up. And I remember I went to the camp and I had like 5 kids, and it was all the kids that I had trained on privates, one-on-one. And they're all different levels, different ages. And now I have my uncle who's out there. He's helping me coach, and he's like, bro, this is sad.
The one you interviewed?
Yeah, my uncle. Yeah, he didn't explicitly say this is sad, but I can see in his eyes like, you've been telling me at all these family dinners how well your channel's doing, and this is how many goalkeepers turned out. Yeah. And I remember I remember leaving that and going, wow, this is the reality of the world now, is that you can't just have followers and not do the groundwork and expect things to just fall in place. I don't have a relationship with these people. They don't owe me anything. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking back, I would watch some of your sessions, and I would be like, okay, because I was so against groups when I was younger. I don't know why. I just wanted to be, again, it was an ego thing. If I want to showcase to the parent, to the one kid, that I can take this goalkeeper as far as they need to go because I'm that caliber. And I would watch your sessions and I'd be like, okay, but why? There's 4 kids in a group or 5 kids in the session. How is he able to give each one of them the coaching point, but the attention that they need? And that was me saying, again, me stacking myself and saying, I do one-on-one, so I'm better than him because I have the ability to have that attention and give that person what their money is worth. And then as I got further and further along, I was like, oh crap, okay, well, game scenarios, you can't just have, hey, shift from the post to me and that's the game scenario. No, you need to add a second and third pass and like game realistic service. And then you have the adversity of actually needing to serve in a session. Mm-hmm. So like I started looking at all these things, and then again, you called me up and you're like, hey, I want you to come work the camp. And that was my first time kind of like, okay, let me get to know who this guy is. And that's when you said to me, hey, man, you're doing a really good job. And that's why I was like, why did I dislike this guy so much? Because of the online thing, but also too is my own insecurity and then like trying to stack myself up to you in that sense. But then you allowed me to see the other side and realize don't hate on people you don't know, but also to get the perspective that maybe is not what you have and what I was taught, but the perspective somebody else has maybe. And that was for me eye-opening.
I think, bro, as a coach, young, when you're starting up, you just got to study. Mm-hmm. You got to study your surroundings, the environment you're getting into, right? Don't get me wrong. When I started doing camps, I didn't know what to expect, you know. And my first camp, this is before Mizzy came in as a partner. My first camp, and this is why I do December camps, I worked alongside a field player coach named Javier Torres. He brought in a guy from Holland to do skills with field players. And he said, hey, do you want to add a goalkeeper camp to it? And I was like, well, how am I going to do that for registration? Oh, they can register through me and then I'll just give you your cut. I said, okay. By that time, there was Facebook. Dude, I had 25 keepers. And this was like 3 days before Christmas. And he had like 100 and some field players. And I'm like, dude, this is a few days before Christmas and people are spending money. Light bulb went up. Because you have to pay attention to those little things, nephew. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, yeah, I got overwhelmed, 25 kids. But then I started, okay, he's doing it before Christmas. All right, take a mental note to that. Again, it was a 3-day camp. I probably wrote maybe 9 pages of sessions that we were going to do. Mm. The camp, if I look at it now, it's probably a disaster. But hey, until you learn, right? But the kids were happy. But going back to my point, you just have to study, and maybe you're not the best, but you can be the best at grinding and hustling. And it's like they say, do something you love to do that you would do for free. But if you can get paid for it, why not? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and what you said that you went through, like that's part of the cutthroat about the goalkeeping world, right? Sometimes people, their ego gets in the way, like, oh, I can do it. Sometimes, bro, you can do the same drill as somebody else, if you want to call it stealing, but maybe the coach who stole it does it better than the person who originally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes, bro, you can be so creative, but sometimes you just need to like, all right, that's too much.
Yeah.
Let me see what this guy's up to. Oh, okay. Oh, I like that. And you take notes, bro. Again, and the era we're living in, information is so fast, you know? And here's the other part. How many times have I told you, dude, you got to go to IGCC?
Many.
Okay. Because, nephew, now when you're in an environment with everybody that's just like you, you're a goalkeeper geek, you're a coach. You know what's even better, bro? When they say, I've seen your stuff. Yeah. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, you know what I mean? And I told you, bro, if you go, everyone's going to know who you are. But maybe don't go because then you're going to get big-headed. But Phil does a great job with it. And it's like the level of coaches he brings in, top level. But here's the other part. You can learn by watching them and listening to their lectures and watching their field sessions. But you know where you get more information? At the bar.
Everyone's loose. Yeah. A little looser. And
Yeah, because then, you get looser. And then you ask them like, hey, what do you think about this? Oh, and they'll tell you. And then you can agree or disagree. But I think you can have that conversation, agreeing and disagreeing, and okay, cool. This is what he thinks. Okay, great. But nah, bro, like I think those are a must for every goalkeeper. You got to go at least once, because you know what, dude, at the end of the day, most of the drills or exercises they do might be the same. You've seen it, but it's maybe a terminology that they use, different words. Oh, damn, that's a good way of putting it, because now I think my keeper's going to understand. Oh, you just by that, dude.
Yeah.
You just write that down. I've done that many a times. I listen to how these pros talk to the keepers and how they approach them, and when they make their pauses, when they let them play. You know, because there's coaches that pause too much. Stop. I'm like, dude, how are they going to learn? You got to let them flow. Mm-hmm. You know, coach on, what does Phil say? He says, coach on the flow. Yeah. Just let them make mistakes on the flow, you know, but I guess everybody's different.
I mean, with all these educational resources that you are exposing yourself to, how has your methodology, I guess, changed over time?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't do diving over the rope as much as I used to. Maybe I'll do it for little kids when they need to learn. Like I said, if I could have recorded my sessions from 2000 to now, or my first camp, honestly, dude, I've evolved so much, because for me, the game changed back in 91 when they did the pass back rule. If you look at today's goalkeeper, they want everyone to be Ederson and Becker and all that. But goalkeepers are still making mistakes with their feet.
We saw it today.
Courtois.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Allison, both of them messed up today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this guy said, it's funny how nowadays they want goalkeepers to be field players with gloves on. Even friends who calls them goal player, not even a goalkeeper, goal player. But you can't leave your foundation of shot stopping, cross taking, 1v1s. You have to have that. And honestly, from where I started to now, dude, taking these courses, I've really learned a lot. It opened my mind up. I would never do game situations. For me back then, it was like, well, that's what team practice is for. Nah, bro, because most, not all, for the record, most team coaches don't have goalkeeping experience at all. And they're not correcting their goalkeepers on their decision making. They'll probably yell at them if, they make a mistake. I love it when a coach says to me, and this happens, it always happens, bro. Oh, I want my goalkeeper to be more aggressive off their line. Great, no problem. I'll do what I can in my environment. But what are you doing about it in your environment? What do you mean? Yeah, these experienced coaches, right? What do you mean? Well, you said your goalkeeper, you want them to come off their line more. Have you once constructed a team practice session to help your goalkeeper in those scenarios? No, I do rondos okay, so do you not think if you set up just once a month, set up a team practice to help your goalkeeper in that? I mean, it's going to benefit your field players, right? Playing through balls, diagonal balls, because they have to work on their finishing too, right? And they have to work on giving that through ball pass. But you're helping your goalkeeper because now you're like, hey, this session's about you. I need you to be more aggressive. We're going to play the balls through. I just need you to come out, work on that. And here's the other thing. You're going to laugh at this. You see it all the time. Team coaches, they're always in the middle of the field or on the sideline. They're never behind the goal. I tell them, when was the last time you stood behind the goal to watch a team practice so you can see what your keeper's watching? Oh, I don't do that. Well, why don't you try it? Just for 5 minutes, bro. Just stand behind the goal and shut up. Just stand. Some will try it. Oh, it's a different. Well, yeah, bro. Now, what did you see? Well, now I got a better view of, how am I keeper, tell him, hey, check your shoulder on the right side. Like, okay, now you see how you're going to help your goalkeeper? Oh, yeah, now I get it. That's the problem, dude. As goalkeeper coaches that we are, it's okay to tell these team coaches, like, hey, why don't you construct a session to help your keeper out, whatever they're struggling in, right? But I hate it when they tell you, I want my U10 keeper to side volley.
Wrong priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't know no better, so
Yeah.
you can't really get mad at them,
Yeah.
right? Hey, how can I get my keeper to hit a driven ball? How old is he? Oh, he's 12. Practice?
Repetition.
Yeah, repetition. And that's the other thing. With young kids, goal kicks, bro.
Yeah.
I tell the kids all the time, oh, can we do a private session on goal kicks? I said, I'll do it, but save your money. And I've told parents, I will loan you a ball bag. Just take your kid out to the park. Once they know what the technique is, all it is hitting it. It's just muscle memory. But that's the thing, bro. Back in the day, when I was a kid, it's like they say us Gen Xers, bro. We'd be outside all day by ourselves until the lights came on the street. Then we went home. But we did everything, bro. Like stick ball in the street. We'd play, canned soccer. We don't do that. So this is why kids struggle.
What do you think of the mental makeup of kids these days? A little too soft, or?
This is going to be a 3-hour podcast. Listen.
Which is why, again, I love your style of coaching, because it adds an element of adversity that I feel maybe some people not coddle, but they don't enforce the rules that they need to. And then maybe the first time they're hit with adversity in college or even training with you, they're kind of like, oh crap, this is so foreign.
Yeah. Okay. Look, again, I'm very proud to be a Gen Xer because we raised ourselves, bro. By the time I'm telling you, I got a job when I was 16, bro, or 17 when I came back from Guatemala. I got a part-time job finishing high school. And honestly, I have no problem. Not at all. The first thing I tell a keeper when they train with me for the first time, whether it be in a group or in a private lesson, I call the parent over because parents just drop them off. Hey, can you come here? What happened? Okay, I just want to tell your kids some things, but I want you to be a witness what I'm going to say so that there's no miscommunication. I don't want your kid to say, I said this when I didn't. Oh, okay. And I look at the kid's eyes, and the first thing I ask them, why are you a goalkeeper? And they can't answer quick. Some say, oh, because I love diving, or I don't like to run. Okay, great. And I just tell them, look, I'm not going to tolerate if you pout. I'm not going to tolerate your lack of effort. If you're not going to try and not give me effort, then I'm just going to send you home. Here, I demand physical and mental toughness. This is why you're a goalkeeper. Now, if you do this because it's fun, fine, we can have serious fun. But here, you're going to work. And I have a loud voice, so don't mistake it for me being mean. I'm just a loud guy. When you do good, I'm loud. When you do bad, I'm loud. Either way, I'm loud. Okay? So you give me effort. I don't care if you struggle. I don't care if you suck. Okay? You're here to get better. It's going to take time. It's not an overnight process. It's going to take time. But your problems, especially if they're teenagers, I tell you, whatever problems you have in school, boyfriend, girlfriend, you leave them in the parking lot. When you step on the field, leave your problems outside. You come to train. So overall, dude, like kids are soft, but I think it has to come down to parenting, honestly. And I've had parents, they call me, hey, can you talk to my kid? You know, they're struggling with this at school, and they'll listen to you. So I'll talk to kids. And, you know, I had a situation where I had to talk a kid off the cliff, dude. It was that bad. So, you know, I think you can't teach a kid to be tough, Omar. Like, I can't coach you to be tough.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's, you know, I don't even think Dan Abrahams can do it. You can inspire, you can do certain things, but at the end of the day, it's up to that player. And I tell parents, like, I've told a few parents, hey, you're not helping your kid out by always bringing them their water bottle, asking them, you know, you're not doing them any favors.
It becomes a habit.
Yeah, and I've kicked parents off the field. Now, again, like I said earlier, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but some parents don't bring their kids back because I tell the parents, hey, I don't need that Care Bear stuff here. You know, they get offended, but I don't care, bro, because that's the problem with our young kids these days. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some kids that, man, I admire their toughness. And we're talking about kids that have money. Kids that, you know, live in Palos Verdes or in Beverly Hills or, you know, good areas where money is not an issue. But these kids come to work, dude. And I'm like, well, then it's not a spoiled thing then. It's not, oh, because you came from poverty, you have to be tough. No, I've had kids that come from well-off neighborhoods. I think it comes down to parenting. I think it comes down to how they're raised. As a coach, you were looked at to help and develop. But I feel what I've done is I try to set them up to be strong mentally, because as a goalkeeper, I tell them I'd rather have a mentally tough keeper than a physically tough keeper, because a physically strong keeper, you can build that. You can build that. Mental, some kids have it, and some you have to help them instill it and make them understand. And I have no problem doing it. I'll give you an example, nephew. Check this out. And for those of you parents who are listening to me that said, I'm going to try out Joe, this is your opportunity to really find out who I am. If you don't want to come and train, it's okay. It's all good. Last night at my club session, you know, now that high school soccer's, you know, over, and at the club that I'm at, I've been hit up by other goalkeeper parents that they want to come try out for our elite girls team. A couple of them showed up last night. I got the group together. I'm going to tell you exactly, not exactly word for word, but in a sense, this is what I said. For all of you that are here, you're going to see new faces like the ones you see in our group. They are here to take your spot. So it's not going to be my fault. It's not going to be your parents' fault, because the new faces you see in here, they're gunning for your spot. And if you lose it, that's on you. And I better not get a phone call or get an email. Why did my daughter, get cut. Because if I do, I'm just going to tell them they weren't good enough anymore. Because that's real life, ladies. This is real life. Okay. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So if you lose your spot, look at the mirror and ask yourself, why did I get cut? And be honest with yourselves why. And dude, all the group, dude, we're talking about teenage girls, bro. The whole group, some of them dropped their head. Some of them didn't drop their head, but they're like looking, they're like, oh shit, right? And the new faces were like, oh, do I want to play here now? If this is the guy that's gonna coach me.
Yeah.
So everyone was like put on like, all right, this is how it's gonna be. And guess what, dude? When I ran the session, you can tell which girls took that pressure and stepped it up more, and which girls shut down because of what I said.
Now, is there hope? Is there still hope for the ones that shut down?
There is.
There is.
But see, they have to want it though. I can throw a lifeline by talking you up and giving you coaching points and don't give up and rah, step it up because, this is your spot. But if they don't grab that line, what am I supposed to do? At the age where they're at, they understand how it is. And this is why, like I told you, I'm not everybody's cup of tea because I'm not gonna sell fairy tales. I'm straight up. And those girls, dude, the ones that stepped up, I was like, wow, okay. And as a coach, you see that. You're like, oh, damn, okay. I like it. And the ones that shied down, like, they tried, but you can just tell they weren't comfortable. They're like, huh? It's like, those are the girls that I make a mental note as a coach.
That was, what's funny, Joe? That was the conversation throughout COVID on all those Zoom calls. Everybody would say, how do you insert a layer of adversity to work on the social aspect so that can translate to the game? And it's safe to say from what I'm hearing and what I've heard about you and I've seen in your sessions, you are simply introducing whatever age group to the real world, black and white. This is how it is.
Right. Now, I'm not going to say that to a 10-year-old kid.
No, of course not.
You have to know.
Yes.
Maybe 10 years ago, Big Joe would have said it. But now Joe understands that, okay, 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid, you can get on them, but you can't throw F-bombs at them. Now, high school kid, it's like, all right, dude, you're 2-3 years, 1 year away from college. I'm just prepping you mentally because now when you step in, you're on staff at a college program and you played at a high-level college. You know how it is.
Yeah.
It's competition all day. And what else is it, nephew? It's organizing your schedule with school and work. And when the off-season comes, you got to go lift. You got to do a lot of things. And I tell these kids, dude, I'm like, dude, you think going to college is like, oh, okay, I get away from the house. No, bro, it only gets harder.
Yeah.
So my job is not only to train you and develop you, but it's also to prepare you mentally for what you're going to see. Hence the reason. And see, COVID has its good things and bad things. When COVID started, there was no club soccer. Everybody was shut down. Well, I was running sessions. I had parents calling me left and right. My kid has nothing to do. There's no club. There's nothing. Can you find a way to train them? Bro, I had kids training with me 4 days a week because this is all the training they had, right? So then I said, dude, it started with Mizzy's daughter. She was like very slow, right? And I said, hey, you want to get better? I used to do this old school workout like long time ago with my goalkeepers, the ones that really wanted it. Like Vince did it, Joe Scacchetti, Juan. And it was like, all right, meet me at 6 a.m. at this park by your house. And we're just going to do calisthenics because that's what she needed. It was COVID, so I said, okay.
The breakfast club is what you call it.
There you go. You remembered it. The breakfast club. So it was free. I would post it. It's free. Whoever wants to show up because the kids had nothing to do. Dude, I was having kids come from Huntington Beach, the Valley, all the kids in the South Bay. I had to put I was like, okay, I can't do more than 12 because, you have to be 6 feet away. And then, so I started with her, just her by herself. And I said, and I told Mizzy that she ain't going to show up. She's like, I know she probably won't show up. Guess what? I got to that park. It was a tennis court in the park. I brought a jump rope, a plyo box, and he texts me. She's on her way. I can't believe it. I was like, okay. She showed up on her bike. I'll never forget. I recorded it. It was still dark outside. She had never jumped rope, so it was a sight to see. But the point was, when I recorded that and I put it on the story, people were like, "Hey, how can I join? How can I?" said, "Okay." So then another keeper showed up, Cody, and then more kids, more kids, more kids. Dude, I thought these young bucks weren't gonna do it because no, the parent has to wake up early, but the kid want to train at 6 in the morning because it's like,
Accountability.
yeah,
On their end,
accountability.
yeah.
But imagine, bro. Yeah, they had nothing to do because there was no club soccer, no games, no team practices, but you still got to wake up early. You got to go train for 2 hours. You're doing an hour of calisthenics, plyo jumps, core stuff, jumping rope, speed and agility. And then you do the other hour, get the cleats on, you do an hour of goalkeeping, all for free. Because I felt, you know what, this is my way of giving back. I'll give back because some parents weren't working, they lost their jobs. Other parents worked from home, so there was a point where I had to do 2 sessions, 2 breakfast club sessions because it got so big, dude. But it worked out. And now I do it every year, every summer. I'll do it for the month of July and I'll just put on my story. Breakfast club starts today. And you know what, dude? It's fun because that's where I filter out. And I guess my goalkeepers are going to hear this podcast now are going to know. That's where I filter out who are the real ones. So Mizzy's daughter was like the pioneer of it. And when club practices started, homegirl was out running everybody from her team when she was like the slowest one.
Wow.
And you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's where I filter out who really wants it and who doesn't. And that's where that mental toughness comes in, bro, because it's grueling.
Hearing the undertone of how you coach the goalkeepers these days and how you communicate to them, it's like, this is the reality. You can either sink or you can swim. And I prefer that you guys swim. And I'm going to give you whatever tools, but you got to control what you can control, and that's your effort.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like, again, if maybe I'm reaching here, but was that kind of like instrumental to you to now have that mentality?
In part, yes. Him and my mom. I also got it from a coach that I had in Guatemala, a team coach. He would tell us all the time, si van a comer mierda, pero cómensela, si no, no vengan. Like, if you guys are going to eat shit, eat it all or don't show up at all. It's like, damn, bro. Because that guy was a ex-military guy, so that was his mindset.
Those are the best.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say if I had to do the DNA of how my coaching style is, yeah, I would say it was a combination of my mom, my friend, and, that coach and other coaches. But that's how I grew up. That was the environment back then.
So the school of hard knocks.
Yeah,
I mean, you and I have chatted before, and like you've mentioned that.
That's the environment we were in back then. And it's still in certain places like that now, but it's 50-50. Now it's like, all right, I won't push you too hard today. Dude, this is why I love Deion Sanders, bro.
I love him too.
Dude, this guy says they're perfect timing. And I tell those to the keepers, or I'll share it on my posts. Phil Wheddon calls it my rants, but it's not rants. It's like something your goalkeeper coach should tell you. You heard?
Yep.
And I just spit game. Some of that I get from Deion Sanders, right? And I just put it in my own words. Dude, the guy said, my favorite one is like, do you come to practice, or you come to practice to dominate? Oh my God, when he said that, it just clicked, right? So that's what I tell my keepers, dude. Because when I started coaching, bro, like I told you at the beginning, I was kind of like, I was insecure of myself, like most coaches are at the beginning. And I didn't want to get exposed that I was like
a fraud.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah. Because, the guy that you interviewed, Campos,
Steven, yeah.
Steve, he said it perfectly. Like when he started coaching, like, oh, I didn't come from a pro background. I didn't do, neither did I. So because people, okay, without mentioning any names, there's a lot of guys that throw around their accents, or they throw around, oh, I played at this academy and I was called up to the national team. Okay, great. But how does that make you a better coach? You have experience as a player. Great. But being a player and being a coach, two different worlds. Mm-hmm. There are some quality ass players out there, but they can't coach for shit. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it in the amateur world and the professional world. And there are some, like Pep Guardiola, who was a phenomenal player and a phenomenal coach. Like Jose Mourinho. Mm-hmm. He didn't play pro, but he's a good coach. Okay, so And the Liverpool coach, I don't think he played pro either.
He may have played like
Second,
lower division in Germany. Yeah.
Or Thomas Schnelk. What did he say?
Yeah, yeah.
He played fourth division, then he had back problems. Sounds like I was like, damn, this guy and I are kind of similar. But he played fourth division, and then he went to study.
Yeah.
Right, and then he got into coaching. So it's like, I think it's of a situation where go through these adversities. Not be afraid to take chances, because what's the point, nephew? What is the point of taking on a challenge if you know that you're going to be successful? Then what's the point of being courageous and taking the risk, right? So you might as well jump in the pool and see if it happens. That's the whole beauty of it, bro. You have to continue your path forward.
Yeah.
But some people they run away after their first failure and they try something different.
They bail out.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you gotta, bro, from where I started to where I'm at now, bro, I'm telling you, it's been a mission. Like Gary Vee says, it's not about your destination, it's about the journey. And even myself, I have to push myself physically because I'm 8 toes down, bro. I got 2 toes amputated, right, because of an infection that I had in my foot. And I thought, okay, my coaching career is done. They're going to amputate my leg. I'm done. This is not good. And thanks to the help of the GK Union, like I told you earlier, the GK Union is cutthroat and it's love. The GK Union came through for me. Stan Anderson, you, and everyone that helped out with what Stan Anderson started. That's a clear how the GK Union, how it really should be, right? You got to take these situations as a coach. You got you got to mentor kids, you got to push kids, but as a coach, are you pushing yourself? And that's what I see. What did you say earlier? Like, oh, you brought in Phil, you brought in Donovan, you brought in Dan Ball. Yeah, because I want to make sure that the keepers have that opportunity to learn from these top coaches. And don't sell yourself short. I brought you in last in 2021 when Phil didn't make it.
Yeah.
And I said, nephew, it's time to step up your game. And you know what, bro? I told you and Miguel, because you guys ran it. I said, man, you guys hit a home run. You guys did a phenomenal job. 2 different coaching styles. But that's what the kids wanted to see. And there was a bunch of kids. Yeah, there was. It was like 115 keepers, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But again, like you have, as a coach, bro, like I don't think that you have to be a professional to be a good coach. I think if you're passionate about it, if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to be a sponge, if you're willing to evolve, and if you're willing to take the hits, like Rocky says, and move forward, then you're going to be successful. But I'm going to repeat myself. I push myself every day. I got a pinched nerve in my left hip, but I got to keep going, bro. Yeah. I'm not going to stop, and if I stop, it's for a day and then it's back on the saddle, bro.
As soon as you give yourself an out, that's your downfall right there. If it was up to me, for example, and if I would have led a camp with 115 keepers, if it was up to me at that time, I probably would have been like, you know what? Nah, it's not really my thing. I don't have the confidence. I don't have the voice. Why do all these kids? Why do they need to listen to me? It's like an imposter syndrome. But then again, you see the value in me for forever. I don't know, for a long time now. And I've always thanked you and I've always appreciated it, but I can say it face to face. But the fact that you just kind of pushed me in and now I don't have my own insecurities stopping me, and you essentially gave me no choice. And I think that
gave you no choice.
No, in a sense, I'm saying like in like metaphorically of like you gave me you essentially
sounds like I put a gun to your head, bro. Don't say that.
It's like I'm on the plank and you're behind me. You're like, bro,
with the sword.
Yeah, it's like I'm jumping right in with you, but you got to jump first. And I think that when you ride with people like that, then you experience things that your own insecurities won't allow you to. But then you're pushed into that. Into the dungeon, and you're kind of like, you gotta fend for yourself, and then you realize, oh man, I actually have a lot more capability than I thought I did. And then now I set a new expectation, and now for me, from those experiences, I have more confidence. And I think from when I listen to different podcasts and stuff, they essentially say you need to outrun and outwork your demons. You need to create a narrative that even when your demons and your insecurities look at that narrative and say, shit, we're up against it, because now everything that you've shown, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. And now whenever you fall back into that little depression or anxiety, you go, nah, but I've already done all these things. What's next? What's next?
You know what, bro? let me share something with you, man. In my garage, I have this huge bulletin board, a big one, like the size of the wall. I have pictures on there from like 15 years ago of me with, I have pictures of Vince Paldini when he was like 12. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I have it on this. I had 2 bulletin boards, but the other one it's in my attic. But one I kept on the wall in my garage. I don't do it as much now, but let's just say a few years back, even after doing camps and all that, just like what you just said, my inner bitch would tell me, like, dude, don't do another camp. You might not get the numbers, blah, blah, blah. And what's the topic going to be? You already did all these other topics. What else can, you know? So my inner bitch in me was telling me, like, no. But then I would sit my ass down in the garage, bro, and look at that bulletin board of all those. We're talking about maybe 200 pictures that I would glue onto this bulletin board. And I did it because, oh, this is cool. It's like my own little goalkeeper scrapbook on this bulletin board. For real, bro. I didn't think of nothing else. Oh, it's cool. I don't want to throw these pictures away or put them in an album. Mm-hmm. I'd rather put them all here because my garage is like my man cave. And I would sit there, bro, listen to Jimi Hendrix, like on a low value. And I would just look at that bulletin board. And I would say, nah, hell no. Okay, yeah, I've gone this far. Okay, I can continue going. Like this guy's D1, this girl's D1, this girl's D2, this one got called up for a national team. This one, okay, nah, let's go. Call Mizzy. Hey, so this is the next day to the camp, and this is what we're gonna do. So it's like it gives me that like like that motivation. Totally. Like my inner bitch voice just goes on mute. And now it's like, let's do it again, or let's, you know what I'm saying? So I just, you know, like I have I'm proud to say that at least in California, Mizzy and I were the first ones to do a special topics clinic. No one else was doing it. Other goalkeeper coaches were doing goalkeeper camps, right? But Mizzy and I sat down. This was 10 years ago, bro. We'd sit down and, dude, what else can we do different? And it just sparked my brain. I said, hey, bro, you know how kids struggle with goal kicks and punts and pass backs? He goes, yeah. Well, why don't we do like a special clinic, like a 1 day? He goes, like a special topic. Boom, special topics clinic, distribution. We'll do it for 3 hours. We'll focus on goal kicks, technique, right? And we'll do punts, side volleys, and then we'll do pass back scenarios. It's barely touching the ball with their hands, more with their feet. But we're not going to turn it into like a field player skills camp. It's all goalkeeper related. Yeah, dude, that's cool. Let's try it, bro. When I announced it on Facebook, I didn't think I had an Instagram back then. When I announced it, bro, oh my God, within 2 days, I had 40 kids signed up. Wow. I didn't even have the registration set up on the website yet. I was just getting people, hey, where do we sign up? Hey, save me a spot. Save my kid a spot. Oh, we've been looking for something like this. I was like, dude, did I just hit something right now? Mm-hmm. And I would show him, and he's like, okay, because Mizzy does the website. All right, let me get the website going. So bro, that camp had 65 kids. That was a 1 day clinic for just distribution. And I was like, huh? Because when you go to camps, not just mine, but any other coaches, you've seen your fair share of camps. It's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of everything, right? But if you do a 1 day clinic focusing on one thing, and the kid or the parent, for me, I hope it's the kid that says, yeah, I'm struggling with crosses. I really want to do it because it's just focused on crosses. It's for 2 to 3 hours. I'm on it. So Uncle Phil, that's how I call Phil. Uncle Phil, when I dropped him off at the airport this time around, he said to me, right, dude, anytime, dude, you couldn't write this, dude. Right as I'm dropping him off, right? Joe, I have a question for you. I'm like, what's up? What is the next evolution? What's the next thing for IGA? Don't answer that. Think about it. Bro, I thought like a cold bucket of water fell on me. And I'm thinking, what's he talking about? I brought Joe ass in twice already. Mm-hmm. I brought in other coaches. Like, what can I do? Because, bro, I've been asked by coaches in other states, hey, come do a camp here. But I did it in Mexico with Eugenio, right? That was cool. I might do one in Guatemala because in May is my mother's first year anniversary and we buried her in Guatemala. So I might do a clinic there. So that would be cool. 2 countries already. But bro, I just want to stay in my own.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I just want to stay. I'm cool with SoCal. Like, I don't want to go out, right? But he made me think. Like, I dropped him off at the airport at 7:30 in the morning. And I'm driving home now after I drop him off. Like, what? Like, when I do a camp, I want to decompress. Couldn't decompress now. Now I have this. And he told me, you don't have to answer me now. Because he knew I couldn't give him an answer. And I thank him for that. Because what do you think I did? I called Juan and Mizzy, my partners. Hey, I got this question asked to me, dude. And Mizzy, being the smart one, he goes, well, what haven't we done yet? I said, we haven't gone to other states, but I don't want to do that. He goes, nah, I know. So I'm not going to say what we're going to do, but they're in the pipeline. And I'm glad he did that because, it pushes you, right? It makes you want to do things differently. At the end of the day, if you continue not only sharing the product that you offer, but making it much better year by year, then who's going to benefit? The kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't mind bringing in presenters. And like, to me, I look at you as I brought you in as a presenter for when Phil didn't show up. And Miguel, like, all right. I had college coaches there, right? Yeah. That was another thing that no other person did, was bringing a specific goalkeeper college ID camp, right? Because most ID camps are what? Field players.
Field players only, yeah.
But who else has done it that if you're in California? And you know what kills me though? That when I've reached out to all these volunteer goalkeeper coaches to come work, I pay them, feed them, they don't want to come. I'm like, bro, you don't get paid or you're a volunteer. I'm offering to pay you, feed you. Maybe there's not a recruit here that you like, but you get the experience and you build networking.
Yeah.
Some people just, they don't get back to me or, oh, sorry, I can't do it. Okay, whatever. But I do it because I want kids to get an opportunity. And I love it, dude, when I get that one egotistical kid. I'm D1. Okay. I'm going to bring D1 coaches. And I'm going to ask them about what they thought about you. And then a few days later after the camp's over, hey, what do the coaches think? Yeah, they didn't like you. You weren't good enough. No, seriously. I'll screenshot you the text. This is what, look, you're not good enough. See, that's where as a coach, you have to be honest with your goalkeepers.
Yeah.
That's why I don't sugarcoat. That's why I'm very blunt, because what's the point of lying, right? It's easier to say a lie to make you feel good than to give you the honest truth that might piss you off.
Yeah.
It's easier to lie.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do that because one day they're going to thank me. And dude, one of the best emails I got was from a kid I trained in high school. This is like 15, 20 years ago, bro. This is like when I first started. And, typical yelling, get up. You're too slow. Get up. And this kid wasn't that good, right? But after that, after those few years of high school, he got better. He goes to the Navy. I get an email. Hey, coach, this is so-and-so. Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you coached me at so-and-so high school. Oh, I just want to let you know that I'm a Navy SEAL. And I just want to tell you that when I was in the trenches, I don't know if you understand how Navy SEALs train, but I've seen it on TV. Like, damn.
Yeah.
But when I was in the trenches, your voice got me through when I wanted to give up, because they do have that bell. They do have it. He goes, I was going to hit the bell, but your voice, when you would kick my ass and told me either push yourself or go home. Don't waste my time. If you don't have it in you, don't waste my time. But when that voice came in, I just got another level of energy, and I pushed through. And I just want to email and thank you. I was like, holy shit, this guy's a Navy SEAL. I hope he doesn't want to come kill me. No, I don't say it. I don't want to come. But dude, those for me, Omar, that's my $1 million check. Those relationships, or the people who remember, you were hard on me, but it was for good reason. You were on me, but it was for good reason. And relationships with keepers when they finish playing, they'll drive by where I train. Oh, I saw your truck. I wanted to come say hi. Dude, that right there, dude, that's the $1 million paycheck.
Yeah.
When they can come by, or they'll text, hey, I'm in LA for a couple of days. Are you still coaching? Yeah. Hey, I just want to come by and say hi. Where's your sessions at? Dude, and these are people that are already married with kids. And I'm like, bro, am I that old? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my approach, is the relationships with my kids, even after they're done with soccer. It's like because it's like when they can remember and understand the times that they went through with me, it was only because I loved them and I wanted to push them. It wasn't to be a dick or to be an asshole. Maybe I come off that way at the beginning because that's the way I filter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because now at my age, bro, I'm 47 years old, bro. Like, I only want to train kids that really want it. I only want to train I don't want to train kids that are just, oh, well, the coach wants me to become a goalie. No, bro, but do you want to do it? Not really. Okay, just go home. I want to train kids that really want it because, it's my time, it's their time, and I put a lot into it. You see how much I put into it, bro. And I'm not even talking about the investment as far as equipment. I'm just talking about just being there and giving them that knowledge and pushing them. It takes a lot out, bro. Like, I go home mentally like exhausted. And I have a son who's 13, who's a goalkeeper. So now he's depending on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty much in a nutshell.
It's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Joe, we've been at this for a little bit here, so I just want to say thank you. That was amazing. Just want to have you leave on one more thing.
What's up?
Advice to, let's talk about just players. Throughout the whole podcast, but let's try and sum it all up in just a few pieces of advice for players and for young coaches or coaches that are going through it right now.
Advice for players, goalkeepers in particular. Love the position first. Love it. If you don't love it, you're going to struggle. Enjoy the process. Goalkeeping is a series of letdowns. You're going to suffer and fail before you get better. If you can trust that process and believe in yourself, you're probably not going to be the best one in your club or in your community or in your city or in your high school or whatever, but be the hardest worker, be the disciplined one, be the best at working at it. You don't have to be the best one, the number one draft pick in the pro. No, be the best at working hard at it, because you can still make a difference. And you're going to struggle more as a young goalkeeper or as a goalkeeper in general from start to finish. You're going to struggle. But if you really pay attention, those struggles are going to mold you into being a stronger individual in real life. The pressures, the letdowns, the good times. When you lose because it's your fault. Losing is a good feeling because now you know what it's like. So when you compare it to winning, you're like, oh, well, this is a different feeling. It's good to lose because you want to know what it's like. Find the right coach. It doesn't have to be me. I'm not trying to sell myself. I'm not selling myself. Find the right coach. It's okay to train with different goalkeeper coaches because different goalkeeper coaches can offer you what another coach can't. I say that 100% because some goalkeeper coaches are like, you have to just train with me and that's it. But that's stupid because maybe this coach can tell you something that's going to get you better. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about the kid, right? Mm-hmm. So for these young goalkeepers, go out there, see what's out there. There's plenty of goalkeeper coaches now than there was when I started. And learn, be a sponge, watch it on TV, read about it. Don't be content with just showing up to 2 team practices at your club and your once-a-week club goalkeeper training. Do what others aren't doing. What can that be? Plyometrics, core workouts. Do something that's going to separate you from the pack. That's my advice. Young coaches, specifically goalkeeper coaches, I would say, first and foremost, pay your dues. The one thing that I hate, my pet peeve, is coaches that have 0 coaching experience come out the gate charging $150 an hour. Because I played NAIA, I was the starter for my NAIA program. And mom and dad fall for it. Pay your dues. It's okay to work for free. It's okay to make a little money. I'm not saying don't make money, but earn it. It's not about you. It's about the kid. That kid and that parent are trusting you to make them better. That kid might have aspirations to be the next Keylor Navas, the next, Courtois, except for tonight's showing. But, that kid's aspiring to be the next best thing. They trust you. Think about that. You're held to a responsibility. Yeah, you can charge what you can charge, but do it for the kid. Pay your dues. Don't be envious about others. Rather approach, ask questions. It's okay to DM in today's world. Hey, I love your stuff. What was this drill for? I like it. Okay. Like what you said earlier. Oh, first I hated on you, but then I got to know you and like, oh shit. Study the person first, right? Because if that person has been doing it for a while, they must be doing something right. There's always going to be a coach that has experience that will help you out. I love helping out young coaches. But my pet peeve is also when these young coaches, they say, yeah, I want to learn. All right, hey, come out. I'll pay you to come out and learn. I'm not asking you to come work for free. And they don't show up. I'm willing to be an open book. I'm willing to show you my playbook because at the end of the day, it's sharing is knowledge, bro. You have to share. And it's good karma.
Yeah.
So I'm a believer in that. So share and create your own methodology. You don't have to be, IJ. You don't have to be Pro GK. You don't have to be whatever academy. Be you. But learn and take what you're learning. Look at what the best do and assess yourself and tell yourself, where do you want to go?
Yeah. And
don't be afraid to approach people. When we talked, was I an asshole to you?
No.
You hated me, but I was an asshole. I wasn't an asshole, right?
No.
Okay, it was the same thing. There's other goalkeeper coaches that are in here. There's podcasts that approached me, and they'll know. Like, yeah, I approached Joe, and I had no problem. But again, I want to finish with this. As goalkeeper coaches, we need to have a unity and stop the enviness and stop thinking that your academy is the only system. We need to be a united front as goalkeeper coaches because we are always looked at as redheaded stepchildren. We're looked at that way, in many forms. And at the club level, youth club, used to be college soccer, but now they're allowing a third full-time assistant. So that's good for the volunteer goalkeeper coaches, right? That get offered that full-time spot. But we need to be a united front. We cannot be fighting each other because, he's trying to steal my clients. Well, what if your keeper is the one reaching out to me or the parent? I'm not trying to snag your kid. And that's the number one problem, Omar, between goalkeeper coaches and academies is, they're stealing my clients.
Territorial.
First and foremost, I don't look at them as clients. I look at them as my kids, okay? But territorial, again, that just tells me that you're about you and making money with that kid. You're not about letting them explore and learning new things. I'm going to end it with that. And I thank you for having me on. Love and peace to you and your family and to all the goalkeeper coaches and keepers listening to this. And GK for life, baby.
That's right, Joe. Thank you so much for being on. And everybody follow IG at Impact Goalkeeper Academy on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, it's at Impact Goalkeeper Academy altogether. My website is www.gk4life.net. Not .com, .net.
There we go. Sticking to the goalkeeping side.
That's it, baby.
Appreciate you, Joe. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, nephew.
Take care.
Peace out.